Ruffalo says a splitter is when you have two headphones with one input for music. And he explains, Keira Knightley, that on his first date with his then wife, they spent the whole date with a splitter, which he still keeps now, listening to music together, and in 2 months they got married. So what's the flip of the coin of this? Well, if you don't want to get married to someone, don't spend hours on end listening to the music each other likes. I'm not saying that everyone will get married in 2 months, but you get the idea. Then when apparently Keira Knightley starts to develop an interest for this man, and apparently he starts to develop an interest for her, what do? They start using the splitter. The same splitter he used with his wife in the past, he's now using with this friend. They even go to a disco, they dance together, listening to the music, so blocked from the outside music in the disco. If you think of Once, the oldest of these three movies, the idea here is not about listening to music, but about making music, as in Sing Street. So here what unites you to the other person is that you perform together, you write lyrics or songs, and in Once, this naturally builds into a relationship that crosses the boundaries of a friendship, and because she's married to someone, although she's separated in the present, she decides not to go forward. Instead, in Sing Street, a similar situation of writing music and so on, because the two of them are single, that takes them now to be boyfriend and girlfriend in the movie. So the sharing of things, the sharing of books, the reading of books together. Your favorite book, The Idiot. The sharing of a cigarette, like when in the television version of Brideshead Revisited, Julia asks Charles Ryder to light a cigarette for her, which means that he will have the same cigarette on his lips that then she has, you know. In Begin Again, Mark Ruffalo's former wife is smoking when he goes visit. They are separated, but he spends a few minutes there and he borrows the cigarette. Then he even takes it. So same cigarette, same lips, the touching, the body language. Let me talk to you a little bit about another movie. This is a very recent one called Allied, with Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard. They are spies in the Second World War. They are in Africa, and she is a spy for France, and he's a spy for England, more or less. And part of their mission is to pretend that they are married. They hadn't ever met. The movie starts when they meet for the first time, but they are trained professional spies. So now they are acting as if they were married. They kiss. By the way, haven't you ever wondered why actors and actresses fall in love so often, and why they typically date Hollywood people, you know, that perhaps they kissed on the set, where in theory this is the profession and all that. Well, here in this movie, they actually fall in love. They are supposed to be faking all the time. That is, they are way less than friends. They are professionals, and they fall in love. Yes, you could say this is Brad Pitt, this is Marion Cotillard. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. At what point in the movie, the very dark, sinister idea starts to surface the atmosphere that she is indeed not in love with Brad Pitt because she is a Nazi spy. So this was all a bluff, and Brad Pitt was like deceived by her, and you start to doubt. And as I was looking at this part of the movie, I was thinking, well, maybe if you make a great effort not to fall in love with someone, as this Nazi spy seemed to be doing, then maybe you won't fall in love, even though you're spending time and all that. Why was she doing this great effort not to fall in love? Well, because she wanted to save her country, Nazi Germany. So she had a great reason to run the risk of falling in love with someone. I wonder how many times this is true about the friendships that guys initiate with girls and vice versa. What is it that is at stake? Because you need a really big why to justify going forward with something that may end up where you didn't want to be. I mean, there are so many people out there to make friends, aren't there? Now I'll completely spoil it for you. Love in this movie was even stronger than nation. And she ends up betraying her cause and staying with the guy. And this is not because he's handsome or because she's beautiful. This is because we're talking about the strongest drive, force, urge on earth. So you may want to, put all your effort for something not to happen, but if you do the right or the wrong things, depending on how you see it, then it's likely that will happen. My conclusion at this point is that mixed friendships only work in Zootopia, where Judy the rabbit can actually be friends with the fox, because there is no attraction between a rabbit and a fox. You see, my student in Argentina, he would say that's not true, because there are girls who are so unattractive, he would boast, that I can surely be friends with those girls. So my only condition for me to be friends with a girl is that she's very unattractive, he would go in class. This is law school. Law school is an undergraduate degree there. But my student is wrong. My student is wrong because attraction is not only about the body, as you know well. A good example is attraction even in the absence of a body, like through letters or now emails. I read a very beautiful book recently called 84 Charing Cross Road, on which a movie was based called the same, with Anthony Hopkins. This is in the 90s, and this is all about the letters between someone in London and someone in New York, and how they start to like each other like too much, and one of them is married, da-da-da. No, they had never seen each other in those days. And I Googled Helen Hanff, and I can tell you she's very unattractive. Very, very. And I'm sure that this guy, Frank Doyle, found a picture of Helen Hanff because she was famous, and it doesn't matter. I mean, the soul matters a lot more. As a candidate for the Republican Party said in September, when they interviewed him, and they asked him about a wife who apparently, I'm from another country so I don't talk about politics, but apparently she's a supermodel. They said to him, so what can you tell us about, I think they said Melania, is that possible? What can you tell us about Melania? And he said, oh, she's a very good person. Oh no, tell us something else, we want to hear she's a very good person. No, but I mean, she's extremely beautiful. And then he would say, well, you know, beauty. After 2 or 3 months, what you want is someone who will listen to you. Well, whether we like his immigration policies or not, there is some truth to that. There is some truth to that. I was having dinner with two guys in Guatemala before I came here, and I hadn't met them. I was at this table because of my friend, who is neither of these two, and I am quite direct. So I said to these two after 10 or 15 minutes, "Are you guys like married or boyfriend and girlfriend, or what's the situation here? Just so as to know, you know." And he said, "Oh, not at all. She's my best friend." And she said, "And he's my best friend. I spend more time with him than I do with any of my siblings and my friends." It was very clear to me that she was totally in love with the guy, by the way. And then I bluffed and I pretended that I was totally in agreement, and I said to him, "What you're telling me is that she's like an angel for you, right?" And he said, "Exactly, you read my mind." And I thought, but she's not an angel. Angels, they aren't like this. Yeah. Right. So my intermediate conclusion here is that if at all possible, a mixed friendship is unstable. It will tend to slide or to break. To slide to romance or to break, and when it breaks, it causes a lot of pain, which is why I thought I would give this talk, especially to protect my gender, but you know, both sides can be to blame here. Are there exceptions to this general rule? Well, one was mentioned by one of the ladies in the video. One exception is children. Children do and can have, I think, mixed friendships. So if you read Harry Potter, for example, you see that when Ron, Harry, and Hermione were children, they were friends. But as soon as they cease being children, when does that happen? That's a good question for us, not for them. For them it's very clear. It's the teen years or whatever. Then problems start to unfold, jealousy, blah, blah, blah. I was thinking that perhaps one of the reasons why mixed friendships sometimes flourish at a campus like Notre Dame is maybe because people are like children in a way. And that sometimes innocent, childish attitude permits sometimes friendships. But is that good? I mean, is one to be proud of being like a young Hermione or Ron when one is already 20 years old? I mean, am I going to hold to my childhood so that I can have my mixed friend and I won't lose her or I won't lose him? I don't think so. Someone was saying to me last night something that is more or less the opposite of this. This was a lady, and she was saying to me, "You know, it's the guy's fault that we can't be friends because in college they are already corrupted and all they see is our bodies. Would they be different, then we could be friends." But this is not true.